Democrats have decided that since the infrastructure negotiations have basically cut out most of the good stuff that the American public wanted, to hell with it, they're just going to put all of those good proposals in a separate budget bill, and they're going to attempt to pass this bill through the reconciliation process. Now, here's the thing. This new piece of legislation that they're working on is going to be a $3.5 trillion proposal. And again, most of what it is all those good things that were in the infrastructure package that have since been taken out through the negotiation process. Things like expanding Medicare coverage to people age 60, I believe it is, along with covering vision, dental, and hearing. That would be a massive expansion of the Medicare program here in the United States. Millions more people would be eligible for it. They could get on this government-run healthcare, and it would be a very good thing. It also includes the improvements in our national energy grid to be able to handle renewable energy more efficiently. So there you've got your, Green New Deal, essentially part of it, and a whole host of other things that this country desperately needs, and that, believe it or not, majority of people in this country want, because above all else, this isn't a budget bill, it's not an infrastructure bill, it is a jobs bill. That's what all of this amounts to. It amounts to U.S. jobs. And yeah, the $3.5 trillion is a hefty price tag. Bernie Sanders wanted it to be $6 trillion, which honestly would have been even better. But here's the thing. The Democrats are doing this because they know they can probably get Republicans to go with them, or at least enough Republicans to go with them on an infrastructure compromise. Now, right now, that actually does not seem possible because even the Republicans who are at the negotiating table are saying we're still not going to support it. So they've got their work cut out for them there. But they do know that if they have these items in the infrastructure package, Republicans will never go for it at all. So that's why they came up with a separate package. But in order for this to pass, they have to have 100% of Democrats in the House and the Senate on board. And that is a Herculean task. That is almost just as difficult as getting Republicans to sign on to it because of, you guessed it, people like Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, John Tester, and a few others. But Manchin is the biggest obstacle. Manchin came out yesterday and said, listen, we want to do this, which I'm on the fence about. We got to be able to pay for it. It's got to be paid for up front. Okay, big talk from a guy who doesn't want to raise taxes on corporations in order to pay for it, even though a majority of people left, right, and center actually do want to raise taxes on corporations and millionaires and billionaires to pay for these things. But here's the thing that Manchin is forgetting. This is a jobs package. Jobs packages do end up paying for themselves, okay? This isn't like a military budget, say, which, by the way, you don't demand they pay for up front either, Joe, just to point out your hypocrisy there. But when you have a military budget of more than $700 billion every year, that money's gone. Very little of that gets reinvested here in the United States. Okay, you're not out there creating thousands and thousands of jobs every year with this military budget. You're simply not doing that. So that's why we don't necessarily recoup the money from the Pentagon budget, but we would recoup it from a budget like this. Because when you're out there creating jobs, you're creating economic activity, and it has the ripple effects. When you bring a new green energy project to a city, state, whatever it is, that's going to create lots of jobs. New jobs means new income. New income means new spending. More spending means more jobs, and so on and so forth, and that ripple effect all throughout those state economies. That's what we're talking about with this legislation. When you're talking about the expansion of Medicare, suddenly you now have groups of individuals who may not have been able to afford health care in the past who now can. So they're no longer having to scrape by and decide, well, do I want to eat today or do I want to take my pills? Because I can only afford one. Suddenly, they're not having to make those choices. They have a little bit more money to go around, more money being spent, more economic activity. That is what this piece of legislation would do. You don't have to pay for it up front because the money comes back to you once the investments start. This is a good plan. This is a good idea. And it's beyond past time for people like Joe Manchin, Cinema, Tester, and all the others to get on board with this and actually deliver something for the American public. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you want even more Ring of Fire, we encourage everyone to like, comment, share, but most importantly, subscribe. And don't forget, you can find me on all social media outlets at Fair and Balanced.